Las Vegas, and welcome to Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. And I have a special guest with me on today. His name is Mesi, and he is going to discuss what happened to him. I believe his home was basically almost stolen from him, and he wants to talk about foreclosure laws. And if Eric, I would love for you to tell the American people your story, please, sir.
Yes, my name is Eric Mesi, and I resided in Sparks, Nevada. Had a home that my wife and I bought brand new through a tax 1031 exchange. So that means we paid cash for the property from proceeds of other homes that we sold. And the following year, in 2007, there was a fake deed of trust created. They downloaded a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac deed of trust, created it. When my father was alive, he made sure that he canceled the loan because he didn't agree to it. It was all rescinded and everything. And they tried to purport that my father made a loan on my property that I paid for. And this went on for going on 10 years. Suddenly, in 2016, they decided to purport that PennyMac, this long story short, we'll get into the details later, but PennyMac took over the loan from Chase, JP Morgan Chase / Washington Mutual. Washington Mutual was shut down. And PennyMac took over the loan and went ahead and stated that they purchased my property from the reconveyance company, NDSC, which is National Default. No bank involved because PennyMac is nothing more than a servicer. They're not a lender, not a per se licensed bank that needs to be licensed in New York and Delaware. So they created all these documents, stole my property, kicked me out of my house that I paid for and bought and worked for. And I'm disabled as well. I've been on Social Security disability. And they went ahead and had me move out of my house. The state of Nevada gave me no protection. I've written the Attorney General several times. I filed complaints throughout the state. Nobody did anything. Nobody lifted a finger to help. My 75-year-old mother was living with me. She was forced to move as well, and that was very hard on her. And it was only her and I trying to move all the stuff out of the house. Me being disabled, I had to pay for help and trucks and everything to get my stuff out. I couldn't get everything. I had to leave quite a bit of things there. I couldn't get to it all. So currently I'm paying for storages and things of that nature to store my stuff. Do you have any questions at this point?
Yes, I just want the people to let the American people know where this happened, what city, and how long you had been in your home, Eric.
It was Sparks, Nevada. I bought the home in the middle of 2006, and it was through a 1031 exchange from other properties that I owned in Patterson, California. So instead of paying capital gains taxes, I just moved the monies through a 1031 exchange and purchased the home in Sparks, Nevada.
Okay, so what is the bank's claiming? What are the lending, the mortgage company claiming? How are they claiming they can take your property from you?
They were claiming that this loan that my father agreed to, which is now deceased, and PennyMac came into the picture after he passed, creating a brand new account number. They're stating that this loan is like 80 payments in arrears, and they're taking the house, stating that in one aspect to the IRS, they're stating that the home sold like as if somebody else bought it, when it states right in the paperwork that PennyMac paid out $293,000 to purchase the home from National Default. National Default Reconveyance Company out of Arizona is owned by Tiffany and Bosco, which is located in Vegas. Tiffany and Bosco law firm. Mark S. Bosco founded the company, and who's behind all of this stuff on my house is attorney Gregory Wild. So he was bound to do anything and everything, use a bunch of pawn attorneys and everything else to come after my house. there was a period of time I was fighting 20 attorneys at once for my house.
Wow. Wow.
There's still a current case regarding the fraudulent activity of this loan, and it's one little portion of the case, and it's called MERS, M-E-R-S, Mortgage Electronic Registration System. There's a case still going in Arizona currently with Judge Teelberg, and every defending attorney in that case are all illegal debt collectors. I know every one of them. So we've been through hell and back on this issue. This has been really rough on my entire family.
Wow. The question is, Eric, is how many other homeowners are they doing this to? It's ridiculous. I hear these stories all the time. I'm a champion of business owners and homeowners and private property. It's just amazing. This happens way, way too often. And I know people don't understand out here. They just hear these stories. This is a personal story. This is personal. This is your home. What do you think is behind this? Because I take things personally. I've been through situations like this before. What do you think is behind this?
Well, the whole story remains, okay. When it was, say, for example, the 1960s, 1970s, when they had regulated banking, they had legal foreclosures back then. That's different than what we have now. These perpetrators are just stealing the homes, making free, clear profit on flipping them, not paying any bank, there's no notes to pay, and just stealing the homes. And that's not fair to the homeowner. It's one thing being in foreclosure if it was legal, but this is an illegal situation where they steal homes and flip them, and then they do shady documentation to the IRS as though some bank foreclosed.
Right.
So it shelters them from the capital gains.
Wow.
If the IRS would get involved and research this, they would soon find out how they're stealing these properties. Tiffany and Bosco perpetrated this fraud. They intentionally bought National Default to do this exact thing and act as though their company's just a reconveyance company. They're not part of the fraud, but they're the main ones perpetrating the fraud and acting as a debt collector when they're only a reconveyance company.
Wow.
So I had to research this. It took 10 years of study to find the proof on this, okay? If you research Gregory Wild on the county recorders in Vegas, you will know him just being an attorney, why does he own several properties under his name? How can he be that rich, owning almost like the whole town of Vegas of homes?
Wow.
If you check every county, he's got properties. Who's to say what properties he's got in other states?
Right.
He could have properties around the U.S. We don't know that. But if the IRS would look into this, where is he making this kind of profit to be able to purchase these properties he's purchasing? These guys like Marquez Bosco and that, they're just making nothing but free cash stealing these homes. They'll use different law firms such as Ackerman Law Firm. They'll use Aldridge Pike, which is all now out of Vegas. Aldridge Pike came from Pike Duncan that used to be based out of Georgia. So these illegal debt collectors is another one called Malcolm and Cisneros that originally was based out of California. These companies and these law firms have grown so big, they're out in Washington and all over the place.
Wow.
So I was trying to help my sister with a foreclosure in Vancouver, Washington. And this guy comes in and states into the court that I'm here to represent this Malcolm and Cisneros. His name's Bill Malcolm.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's not a bank. He originally was hired by California Reconveyance Company, which is the reconveyance company out of California. So this story just goes just thicker and thicker by the day.
Wow.
There's another company out of Washington that's called RTS Pacific. You could look them up. Okay, they were owned by Butler and Haas law firm. So when I did my sister's case, I would call RTS Pacific Reconveyance Company, and they would tell me, by the way, we're here to inform you, we're here to collect a debt. As I asked, why are you telling me this? You're not a debt collector, you're a reconveyance company. And the person on the phone stated that, well, that's what the company tells me to say. So I went ahead and reported in a complaint to the license gosh, they agreed to close their company from Florida to Washington, which also shut down RTS Pacific that just got through buying out Cal Western Reconveyance Company. They act as trustee of the loan. Well, how could a reconveyance company be the trustee of a mortgage? That's impossible. It's not even legal. So when they were shut down, that ended all the foreclosures for over a year until another perpetrator, illegal reconveyance company, came into the picture, and they started foreclosing again. But when RTS Pacific was shut down, that was a great victory. So anybody can Google that. It's all over the web, Butler&Hosh closure, and you can read it for yourselves.
Wow.
They were even cheating their in-house attorneys, not paying them the proper wages and stuff that they agreed to.
Wow.
So anybody, do you have any questions at this point in time?
Yeah, just, this was all part of that massive deregulation in the 70s and the 80s, of the banking system. And it's just, it's ridiculous.
Well, when the mortgages were deregulated, it was in 1999 by President Clinton. At the same time, he removed the Glass-Steagall Act. He legalized digital signatures, and he set the way for mortgage electronic registration systems. That's how they came into the picture.
Yeah.
Start doing everything, just notary stamps, just stamp signatures, and just go ahead and just record black and white documents that are just fictitious and fake. And what's ended up happening, companies and banks like Washington Mutual, what they did was they're getting the money from the government remit pool from all these investors. They don't care who these investors are. They could be firemen's fund, could be police out of Chicago. They don't care who they're stealing from. So they would actually call up the government remit pool and say, hey, about every month we need $100 million. We expect X amount of loans. And they would get the money from the government through the remit pool. Then they have, after close of escrow, they have 90 days while the government has that remit pool door open to do a 976 IRS tax form and record it right into that open door. They have 90 days to do it. They weren't even doing those forms. They had no intention. Even if you made your payment, they refused to pay any of these investors back.
Wow.
So then what happens, these investors get big-time attorneys like Cohen and Milstein and things like that to sue for their monies back. What happened to our monies? So they go ahead and sue. Of course, the attorneys themselves make most of the money when they get these investors' monies back. And and through all of this, Washington Mutual is making loan after loan after loan, never paying any of the remit pool back. So if you read about it, you could see that Greece, the entire country, was buying NBS securities. They had to file bankruptcy because none of those investments were ever paid back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they're called. If you look at William Black, he used to be a bank regulator. He will explain the whole entire story why they're called a liar's loan. Because it was fraud at the closing table. They did not have any intention on paying the investors back, the people who put up the money to purchase the home. So at the end of the day, a real bank, they don't want your house. At the end of the day, it's the illegal debt collector that's after your house, just taking it free and clear because they know all this stuff. So they don't have to pay any note. Just take the whole house. If it's worth $400,000, flip it and pocket the money. You agreed to a note, so you owed us money, so too bad, too sad. In other words, we're just going to take your house and foreclose. We're doing it legally. And judges and everything believe them. Believe attorneys like Gregory Wild and Tiffany and Bosco and that kind of thing. When the whole loan was a lie from the get-go. It just so happens in my case, my dad never agreed to borrow on my house. So we knew it was fraud out of the gate. Most people, they figured, okay, a mortgage is a mortgage. We agreed to it. We'll go ahead and pay on it. I would never pay on a loan like that. That was completely illegal and wrong what they did. So
what do you think would have happened had you agreed, Eric?
Go ahead.
What would have happened had you agreed?
Well, usually what a person does when you agree, you knew you had a mortgage, you start paying. You at least make the first payment or whatever. As soon as you make that first payment, that's a double agreement right there. Now you agreed to the loan because they got your check.
That's what I'm saying, right? Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. See, in my case, it was never paid on. Not a red cent.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was ever agreed to. So they went ahead and pushed it all through. And when I bought the house, I'm supposed to have an insurance for life through this Eagle Insurance Company, which is owned by, it's called Federal, I'm trying to think of the name. It's a big one that they insure Chicago Title and all these title companies.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar. I used to be a trainer in Chicago. Yeah.
Insurance for life.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm familiar with that company. I used to be a trainer in Chicago, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I filed a claim with them. They didn't give any assistance. Oh, it just must be a legal loan, and just walked away from my claim. Didn't do anything. When I'm supposed to have insurance for any change of title, any illegal irregularly, any changes in title, like taking my name off the property, whatever, I was supposed to be insured. This company didn't do anything.
Wow.
So, and the other thing too, as I kept trying to pay my taxes, they use a company called CoreLogic that comes in and pays your taxes, stating that, well, the mortgage is late, we're going to pay your taxes. And CoreLogic is also involved in the fraud.
Wow.
So, so this thing goes on and on. I mean, it went on for 10 years. They finally ended up taking my house. No judge would listen. I've been through federal court, got every judge hating me as a fact. And they just didn't listen to me. They didn't care, and just allowed them to throw me out of my house. No, state and federal.
Who owns the house now? The title to the house, Eric?
Well, I got so many lis pendences and liens on it that states if they ever sell that property, the title company owes me $1 million. Okay, so they can't sell it, so they're renting the house. By rights, I have entitlement to that rent that they're receiving. Then they went ahead and sent my father, my deceased father, a 1099-A, which means a deed in lieu, as though he signed documents while being deceased to hand them the keys.
Wow.
And they actually reported that to the IRS. I'm going to call the IRS to confirm it. It was actually sent to them. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe they lied about that too. PennyMac Servicing is the brand new Countrywide that our government's already shut down. So they just took all the same employees, CEOs and everything, and opened it as PennyMac, and went ahead and went into, started foreclosing and everything all over again.
This is you have now wet my whistle. Now I'm very interested, and when I get interested, I'm going to blow this up. I'm going to talk about this. I'm hoping that you come on as many Mondays as you want. I will leave it open for you, and we're going to keep this going.
I'll do it. Any documents that you want, I can provide you with all the facts.
Absolutely.
I don't just blow smoke. I have the facts.
Absolutely. We have a great producer here, Cian. I'm sure you've talked to her, and we have a great head of social media. So we're going to put this up on my site. We're going to talk about this. We're going to do shows. It's going to be all over YouTube, Eric. I'm not going to stop. This goes deep. I was just researching really quickly while you were talking. Some of these companies, they have arms in 27 states, 27, 28 states. Some of these foreclosure companies. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Here's one I want you to research, and you're going to get a kick out of it. Colorado is the only state that's understanding and trying to do things the right way. Okay? So you can type in Colorado versus Castle Law Firm, and you can put in PDF into that Google search, and you'll get the actual lawsuit documents. This Castle Law Firm is one of them reconveyance attorneys, is what I call them. They buy reconveyance companies and everything and illegally foreclose. And then they'll add a whole bunch of fees to these loans, make it to where the homeowner can't pay it with the excuse to foreclose.
Unbelievable.
And Colorado's the only one onto this game and trying to put a stop to it.
Wow.
So Colorado versus Castle law firm.
We're going to look that up, Eric. We're coming to the end of our show today. Does the producer have all of your information and phone number?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
We have
I'm
your
gonna call
information,
him
Eric?
as soon as I'm done here. I'm gonna call him.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yes, are you still there? Yes.
You asked if he?
Yes, the producer has your phone number and all of your information?
Yes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. She says she's going to get in contact with you after the show. We have had a special guest on today, Eric Mesi, and we are going to, this is happening all over America, folks. We have got to stop this. We got to fight back. We got to do something against it. Eric, continue to fight. And you have a friend here, Chris Garcia. We're going to keep this going until we get some answers, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. And you can Google Chris Garcia, the Conservative American, and your show will be up on YouTube in a couple hours, okay?
Okay.
All right. We look forward to it.
All right.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Do you want to close?